Some people like to say that gear just doesn't really matter. I'm here to say don't fall into that trap. Now, let's just keep it real, okay? Now, quite frankly, we all know that I'm an everyday carry and SHTF YouTuber. I get access to a lot of gear that a lot of folks may not get access to. One moment. Hopefully during that break, you consider subscribing to the channel because I know it's probably not the first video that you've seen here. As much as people try to deny the fact when they say they believe that gear doesn't matter, I don't necessarily think that they're being completely genuine with themselves. Let me just tell you like my process when it comes to gear, whether it's for prep stuff, SHTF stuff, coffee, craft, EDC gear, it doesn't really matter like what it does to me, what it makes me feel, and just everything that kind of goes through the process. Let's go ahead and bust out a lungo real quick. We're going to do 18 grams of coffee in. We'll do about 50 grams of liquid coffee out to pump out a nice afternoon delight for your boy. So here's the thing. I particularly believe that you can get a lot of jobs done with all sorts of stuff that doesn't have to be the latest and greatest EDC gear prep stuff. It could be the shittiest Chinese prep kit that you can find. Then it could also be just like an amazingly well done DIY kit that you do for your prep. There's all sorts of avenues that that are in play when it comes to your gear, your prep, and what it does to you. So here's the first thing that happens to me when it comes to new kits, new gear, all of that. If you were watching my live stream just literally the other day, you may have noticed that, one moment. One thing you may have noticed is that I got a package from Vertex and it was a new bag. And I don't know if that bag is under embargo. I unlisted that live stream just in case I wasn't supposed to show you the bag. But the bigger point, the bigger picture is that I had a sense of excitement about this new piece of kit, about this new piece of gear that I was receiving. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know the purpose of it. I didn't know if it was trousers, a shirt, some socks, a fanny pack, a backpack, a sling, whatever. But it just immediately made me want to use it. So it brought me that immediate dopamine hit. And I don't think that we should always do things for dopamine hits, but there are things in our lives that we do that organically make us feel good. And that's the reason why we continue to do it. One of those things for me is going through the rigmarole when it comes to my EDC kit, my gear, all of that good stuff, kind of like how it makes me feel, the things it makes me do. So sometimes receiving new kit, new gear makes you motivated to maintain it, to keep it, to use it, all of that. And I think that that's one big thing that people miss when they say gear does not matter. I don't think that that's a 100% true, genuine statement, because sometimes when you get a new piece of kit, when you get a new piece of gear, it will motivate you to complete a task, to get something done. You know, I got a lot of new knives the other day from Blade Show, Texas. Some I purchased, some were given to me, but I was very excited as we enter into the spring, we get into some better months around here. I was super excited just to have the opportunity to possibly, just to maybe be able to use my new kit, use that new gear and just take it out and do some yard work, do some stuff around the house, do some hobby man stuff, some DIY stuff, just bring that kit with me. So, you know, taking the brand new knife, brand new multi-tool, any new flashlights, just use them, put them to use. And I think a lot of times we fail and we forget to do that. So number one, new pieces of kit, new pieces of gear, bring you a level of task completion, wanting to get stuff done versus things that we did in the past. And I think that sometimes we forget about that. We forget about how it can feel to actually knock something out, to actually do something, because some of your gear is just old. It's kind of ratchet. It doesn't work as well as it should. And you don't really look forward to doing it. So, you know, I have my main power tool kit is a Metabo HPT. Stands for Hibachi Power Tool. They changed brands. I think it's been about 5 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And with Hibachi Power Tool with Metabo HPT, every time I get a new piece of kit, if I get a new impact drill, if I get a new drill driver, a hammer drill, if I get a Sawzall, I'm getting whatever, I'm just like, let me attack that project. Now, before that, I may have had a Sawzall that was plugged up from Harbor Freight. I may have had a circular saw that's older. It's a skill saw. Maybe I got it from the 80s. Maybe I have a table saw that's getting the job done well. But that new piece of kit motivates me to get into a mode and actually get some shit done. Getting a new piece of prep gear, a solar power generator, getting some new prep stuff, getting a new 75-liter bag to make a family bug out kit, maybe getting some new MREs, grabbing a new med kit. I want to put it together. I want to test it out. I want to show my family how to use it. I like new gear. Don't fall into the fallacy of thinking gear doesn't matter, because it does matter. First sip. Oh my God, bruh. I hate tooting my own horn when I make these videos for y'all, but my shit be banging, bro. These little lungos and these coffees and stuff that I be making, the shit be banging. That kind of brings me to this point where I'm talking about here. I have an espresso setup that cost me $2,000 about 2.5 years ago. I spent the money on an Akaso PID machine. I spent the money on a niche zero grinder. I spent the money on getting good hardware, learning how to use the stuff. You know how often I go to a coffee shop? Probably once a month, if that. And when I go there, I'm just getting a black drip coffee or something like that. You know how often I'm using my machine? Twice a day. You know, so I probably have upwards of saved money for an espressos easily in the first year of owning this thing. But owning this kit, keeping it clean, making sure it's sharp, making sure the components are still functioning, makes me motivated to build a well-made espresso or lungo or an Americano, sometimes a cappuccino, which is extremely rare, but it makes me want to do it. New pieces of kit that even comes with stuff for the man cave, keeping it, you know, for my cigars, for my lighting, for my sound systems. It makes me want to actually use those things and keep them at the front and ready. But here's the thing. A lot of us will see something and we will talk about something, and yes, I'm using a blowtorch because I want to get this shit lit and going. A lot of us will see something and we may decide to ourselves, we don't necessarily need a new piece of kit. We don't need that new piece of gear because, you know, my case knife that I got from my granddaddy, that thing's been working just fine. Possibly. You may decide to yourself, you know, I've been A-okay with this JanSport backpack since the 12th grade. The 12th grade for me was 2004. You know, the straps break every now and again, but it works just fine. That could be true. You also may say, I'm on my 4th kid. I've had the same diaper bag since kid number 1. I'll be fine. But you know what? Every time you get a new piece of kit, it may motivate you to progress forward and actually utilize your stuff more. You get a new diaper bag with that 4th child, maybe you take them to the park more. You get a new knife, maybe you don't injure yourself using a daw knife. You get a new multi-tool, maybe you find functionality in things that you did not know existed before by having an onboard wire cutters, or having a wire stripper, having an awl to make a hole in some wood. Sometimes new pieces of kit opens your eyes to the world of things you did not expect to see before. Downplaying and saying that new gear doesn't matter, I think is a fallacy, and I don't want you to fall into that trap. But another thing I don't want you to do, this brings me up to point number 3, is don't believe that a new piece of kit is gonna make you efficient in any of the endeavors that you're trying to knock out. If you're trying to get more efficient with your everyday carry, you want to be that person that can have a well-lit cigar, cut through a task, do a utility cut, illuminate underneath a vehicle. Just because you got the biggest, brightest, most bestiest flashlight there is, doesn't mean you're going to know how to carry it properly. Maybe you're not wearing the right type of belt. Maybe you have a knife still that you don't know how to sharpen. Maybe you got a blade shape that is completely unusable for what you intend to do for it. New kit doesn't make your skills get better, but I don't want you believing that gear doesn't matter and you could just use the same thing for life. Some people, yeah, you can just go with the same thing and learn how to maintain it. Learn how to get that item, learn how to be okay with using it, sharpening it, replacing components of it when you see fit, but understanding you still need to actually replace and maintain those components. So for me personally, gear does matter. I don't think that you should blow a bag, you should blow a check, you should skip a bill to get new gear. But I also don't think that you should use gear that's unsafe and it's unproductive. My last point being, if you're still holding on to a piece of kit that's holding you back, that's almost dangerous, that's not meeting the job, you should look to replace that gear. Or you should look to stop doing that task. If I were solely dependent to do woodworking stuff with pieces of gear that were causing me to have my fingers in the way, or unable to properly score or mark a piece of wood, or to do certain type of rip cuts, or to do cross cuts, or to do sanding tasks, I probably should stop woodworking. If it's your job, if you're on some type of job site, if you're an HVAC technician, if you have a piece of EDC gear, which is not allowing you to properly strip wires, now you're having to go get more wires because you've cut it too short. Maybe you should get another piece of gear that's getting in your way and get it out of your way. You may be a person that's throwing pizza dough in the back of a New York pizza deli, a New York pizza house, pizzeria, and you are every now and again want to pull out a tool to make a cut off excess dough, and it's dull. It's not getting the job done. It's slowing you down. Gear matters. It matters that you're able to persevere, you're able to push through and not go for the fallacy that gear does not matter. I was watching a video earlier when people were saying that, well, you know, gear doesn't matter, you can just keep whatever, and that's partially true, but I personally am not going to keep a gas station knife for life and have to sharpen it once a week. That's not something I'm particularly interested in. So yes, I'm a YouTuber who gets free shit sent to him. But this channel started with me showing items that I purchased myself to help me get through tasks. New toolboxes I got, new tool, extremely large tool kits that I got, new tonneau covers, new knives, new EDC kits I put together, bags, all purchased by me because things were getting in my way. Things were not secure, so I bought a tonneau cover. Things were not able to be easily accessed, so I bought a rolling toolkit. Things were not able to be penetrated, so I had to get an SDS Max hammer. These are the things that I had to overcome and get through the acquisition of new gear. Did I want to continue to chisel my way with a large crowbar and a freaking hammer to peel up towel? No, I did not. Did I want to be worried about my golf clubs or a piece of expensive kit that's in the back of my bed cover with just a roll-up cover that can be smashed through easily with a sledgehammer? No, I did not. I got a Diamondback. Did I want to continue to have to always sharpen my Ozark Trails knife because it was getting in my way? No, I did not. I blew my load on 6 or 7 Benchmade knives. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that last part. But the point is, I don't let gear get in my way. I do think gear that does matter. But once you find what works for you, maybe it stops mattering. Maybe you can continue with that kit. Maybe at that point you can look at videos like mine and say, X gear doesn't matter. I've owned this Chris Reeve knife for 15 years now. I sharpen it every 3 months, slices like butter. That's true. Maybe gear will no longer matter. Maybe you'll say to me, I have owned this Leatherman Crunch, I've owned this Leatherman Arc or this Leatherman Surge for nearly a decade, X. This thing works for me, I'm A-okay. That could be true. Gear no longer matters. But for some of you, don't think that you should stop progressing, because I sure as hell am not. That's all I got. Subscribe to the channel. I like talking about shit that pops in my head. Before I made this cup, it was just literally someone talking about how gear doesn't matter and use the shit that you got. Maybe not, bro. Maybe not.